Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. First thing we want to do is have pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our Open Meeting Act, the Board of Education makes available at least one current copy of the Open Meeting Act posted in the back room. The act is posted on the wall if you want to look at that. Verification of publication and notifications, all good. All right, well, let's see, next on our agenda, we will go to public forum. Anybody willing to speak, wanting to speak, please sign a gold sheet and hand to Jody over here, and we will give you 5 minutes up here. We do that. All right. Okay, Carol, do some swearing. Would you like to speak, please? I believe you remember the rules.
I do.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll be honest, with my questions, I just went through quickly and looked, and they might be answered and stuff. I just looked quick and went, okay. And I just got back from vacation, so maybe my brain is still on vacation and I just missed it. It was just from the committee minutes, the automatic hiring. I remember that we do that, but I don't remember like what level, like, is it like so much per class? And I assume it varies from elementary to middle school, but I just don't remember. So, and it might be answered in the, when we're talking. And then it said that grading practices have changed. Again, my memory, I'm gonna say I might have short timers or something. I don't remember. So I'm just curious. I know it's gonna be discussed, but it's not critical, just curious.
Okay.
And then, the building and finance committee notes, it said that we were renovating the second floor. And I remember the building, it seems like not very long ago, we demoed and rebuilt. So I was just curious what the renovation was.
Okay.
That's it, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Anybody else wishing to speak in front of the board? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered routine, will be enacted under one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items in the meeting unless a board member requests an item removed from the agenda for separate action. Who had bills this month? You did?
Yep.
Okay. What, anything
Yeah,
in
so,
particular?
so the general fund, we spent about 707,000. Mostly it was instruction, operations, student services, some contracted support as well. Special building fund was 1.7 million. That was DLR group and Hausman, and then also the Terracon for the tennis courts. I'm assuming, I don't know if it was final payment, but a payment. And then it looks like some pre-grading at high school number 2. Depreciation fund was about 25,000, and then just minimal MSU fees. So it's pretty cool, other than the building a second high school. So.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, there's a motion. Present.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joe. Jody?
Tim?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Okay. That moves us to our reports, presentations to the board. Let's start with our elementary. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Craig Tice, Stratford your principal. Got some fun pictures up there and some celebrations that took place. The first one that you can see is we celebrated homecoming week with our high school. Had a really fun week to participate, which was put on by an amazing fireworks display on Friday night, so our kids enjoyed that. The next one is we do conduct evacuation drills each week, each month, from fire drills to lockdown procedures, to evacuation to another building or to all the elementaries, in-bus evacuation I should throw in there as well. Most of those have been concluded as far as the big drills, and then we'll continue our monthly fire drills and some of those other drills as well. And then the next one coming up this week, in fact, high school's doing it now. Elementary parent-teacher conferences take place Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are scheduled out in the buildings. All elementary buildings do it the same night. It's just a fun way to celebrate the student success and in progress as we get towards that 9 weeks here. So looking forward to seeing all the families tomorrow. And then a big one, end of September here is our PTO fundraiser. So all the elementaries do something a little bit different, but they all raise money. Our wonderful PTO puts that on for all the elementary buildings. You can see the foam, I think a couple places did. There are some bounce houses. I was a human Sunday, I guess, because we raised so much money at Stratford. So just a lot of fun events that we put on. Our PTO's big fundraiser for the year. So any questions?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Middle school, who is that?
How you doing?
Good. Lucas Alphabet, principal at Bennington South Middle School. Wanted to take a moment to recognize the Bennington Public Schools Foundation and their support with adding a scoreboard at the Bennington South Stadium. It's been a great addition for fans and teams in attendance. No more of the Vanna White days of having to move the portable scoreboard between the fans and the teams on the field. So it's been a great addition. We were able to use that here in the month of September for our Battle of 168th Street. It's a great event to end the fall sports season, getting to go up against Bennington Middle School. And so proud to bring home the trophies for football, and the ladies at Bennington Middle School brought home the volleyball trophies. So a nice even split to conclude the Battle of 168. Also wanted to recognize our boys cross country team at Bennington South. We had the state cross country, or the junior high state cross country meet this past Saturday, and the team finished as runner-ups. So congratulations to our cross country teams on a wonderful season. And then highlighting from our first Hexter, which finished up here in September, Mrs. Naybauer, our general music teacher, put on a performance for sixth grade families and friends to attend at the end of the Hexter. It was a great event to highlight their growth from the beginning of the school year and wonderful performance that they put on through their 6 weeks in music. And then at the middle schools, we also concluded with our Hexter assembly that we do at the end of each Hexter to help recognize our Power of the Paw winners, announce our Tuffy Ticket prize winners, as well as have our staffer student competition. This year, there was no match for the 8th grade girls volleyball team as they defeated our staff team easily. In the fun event that we had on there. And so wanted to thank our PTOs for helping to provide prizes for our students throughout the Hexters. And then we have conferences here coming up Tuesday and Wednesday this week from 4 to 8 p.m. at both middle schools. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did not have Vanna White on my board meeting. Is it on?
Mr. Lambert.
Good evening, Greg Lamberty, Bennington High School Principal. Few highlights from our report for the month. First one, a little bit of walking history there. Ariel Crawford, the first ever girls golfer to win the conference championship for our school. So that was pretty neat. She did that a week and a half ago over in the Wilds. Girls golf has just finished up day one of state out in Scotts Bluff. They were in 9th place. As the day wrapped up, there were still some other teams out on the course, which typically means it's a chance we were in the clubhouse, so we may move up a little bit more. I want to give a huge thank you out to Mrs. Thorson and Mrs. Lytle and the Student Senate kids for their work with homecoming. There's a lot that goes into that, from hallway decorations to themes to fireworks to the dance and all that. And, for the most part, things ran smooth. We had very few hiccups, and I think that's a credit to the organization and work that those kids put in. And then lastly, we were in night one of parent-teacher conferences. It was standing room only when I left up there. So we do run 4 to 8 today, and then we will be back on Wednesday from 4 to 8. Questions for me?
Is that unusual having that many people there? Is that a good sign or?
Yeah, it might have been a slight exaggeration on my part. I feel like super proud of when I walked down.
Right, okay.
Anything else?
Thank you.
I'm not gonna lie, you had me too. I was like, whoa.
We did it.
Student services, Mr. Bond.
Hello, Dan Bombeck, Student Services. I wanted to draw your attention to our early childhood numbers this month. You'll see in the birth to 3 column, we have 38 students currently in services right now with our SLP and our early childhood teacher. We expect those numbers usually grow throughout the year. Early on, we have a lot of students that move off of the early childhood numbers in birth to 2, move to their preschool classrooms, so we'll see a lot of those last year that would have aged up to that preschool level. Just as a note on the birth to 3, those are the services for any guidance and regulation. We provide those services in the home for families, and they are also paired with a service coordinator through the ESU to provide advocacy for the family and provide them connections to resources so they can get the best services possible for those students. We appreciate that work that's being done down there as we see the gains that they have down there. That just is magnified as they move up through the ages and as they get into our elementaries. So the other piece I would like to point out is we have our annual Bennington Elementary Pumpkin Patch, and this is an annual event to celebrate the fall, and we bring students in our alternate curriculum programs in the K through 5 from across the district to participate in several activities and just get acquainted with each other and have a good time. So we appreciate Steph Hoffa, who organizes that over here at Bennington Elementary, and they run a great program that reads around that. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Feeney. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Feeney. I'm the Director of Secondary Education. Couple of quick updates for you, one about our math team. They've really shown up in kind of business and worked through a lot of pieces, and so we're pretty excited that this month we get to start looking at curriculum, which should give us some more time to do some more alignment things this spring, which is awesome. So that schedule has been moved up, which is a fun challenge to manipulate. You can see our professional development preview for what's coming up in this next quarter as we end the first quarter in these coming days. The biggest thing I wanted to make the board and the community aware about is there has been an update to the MAP growth norm study. And so MAP growth uses a RIT scale, and it's not as important what the RIT scale is called as to know that it's an equal interval scale. And so a student that gets a 200 in one grade, it's the same set of skills and achievement as a 200 in another grade. What Matt did was they went and looked at what percentile that would put the kid in if they got that 200 in 5th grade or if they got that 200 in 8th grade. So for a 5th grader, we might say that's an advanced score, that's in the 90th percentile. And for an 8th grader, we might say that 200 is an average score, it's in the 50th percentile. And so what that means though is sometimes it will be confusing to parents when they look at scores that were typically one thing and now we're looking at them being another. So if you wouldn't mind scrolling down to the ratio. You can see across the bottom there, the score didn't change, but in 2020, when they did their last norm study, they found that the 2025 norms spread out and you're seeing kids not score as well in the different grade levels. And so the varying results was that a student on the lower end, as you can see there, are going to have larger shifts, and at the higher end, you're going to be closer. The way that plays out, if you could scroll down one more, is you can see across the top that 30th, 50th, and 95th percentile. It shows on the new norms what they would be now. So a 3rd grader in the 30th percentile on those 2020 norms would now be in the 39th percentile. This is consistent with what you see in the national narratives of students having some of those lagging indicators from COVID and some of those struggles learning now where the score hasn't changed, but the norms have. And so we just wanted you to know that was out there. If anybody has any questions, certainly let us know. But just wanted to point that out as those MAP scores are coming out. We're excited to use them to talk about growth and how our students are achieving and growing. But we also want to make sure that people understand how we're accurately reporting it.
Just a quick reminder, MAP growth is our national norm reference test. So this is how we compare ourselves nationally to others, or how a student is doing. If they achieve that 200, what does that put them nationally as well? So that's our norm reference test.
Thank you. All right, operations, Dr. Bloomkind, please.
Good evening, Matt Bloomkamp, Assistant Superintendent. As you can see, our tennis court installation up on the high school campus is just about complete. We're setting poles for the lights this week, and we have some cement work, a little grading work to do behind the softball press box. So we have access over to those tennis courts on cement, once you come down the steps at the current facility. But want to thank the high school administration, housing construction, and DLR. Collaboratively, we worked really hard to get this completed before winter. So when we open up in the spring with girls tennis, we have a facility on campus for the first time, and we're not scrambling for courts. So again, appreciate all their help and all the hard work that everybody put in to make sure that this was a reality when we start in the spring with our girls tennis program. So I think it's going to be a really good facility, and our girls are really going to benefit from it. So thank you. Visited another job fair earlier this month. I had a chance to go to UNO. It's the second time I've been to UNO. Going to continue to go and recruit there as well. Our hiring season is starting to ramp up here in November and December. Right now, we currently have one open position for this year. It's high school science. It was one that we just couldn't get filled before the school year ended. Dr. Lambert and I got together and said, at this point in time, we have to build a schedule. And so we absorbed that FTE into our high school staff. But with the understanding that we may look at hiring someone at semester. So we've opened that position back up. It is on the website for anybody that would like to apply to be a science teacher, and hopefully at semester time we can land somebody and get them started second semester. Still have a few open positions in our classified staff. Bus drivers continue to be just a real struggle to be able to recruit. Continuing to work hard with that. We have a few open food service positions, and we're down to 5 paraprofessional open positions out of about 90 that we have in our budget. So we feel good about where we're at there. I'm oversee safety and security for the school district as well, and we have 4 safety and security meetings throughout the course of the year. Had our first one last Wednesday, where we were here in the 1940s room, and I've listed some of the items that we talked about with safety and security as part of our Rule 10 guidelines that we follow. So those are the things going on in my office and in our neck of the woods here over the last month. Are there any questions that I can answer?
How many job fairs do you attend?
I go to UNO. This year I'm going to go twice to UNO. We go to UNL twice, Kearney once, Midland, and Wayne State. So not too far. I know we have some neighboring districts that travel out of state. We've had really good luck with those job fairs that are close, and to be able to get those, again, not only to hire them as employees, but to go get to them when they're looking to do practicum hours when they're freshmen or sophomores, and to get them here as student teachers the year before they're ready to graduate. We feel like if we can get them here and let them work with our teachers and see what the culture's like in Bennington Public Schools, we got a good chance of keeping them, and we've had success doing that. Okay. Other questions I can answer?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Claus.
All right, I got a few things on here. The first one is the bond sale plan. So kind of a reminder, 3-4-ish months ago, I don't remember when it was, DA Davidson came in and they kind of presented what they thought that it would look like as far as bond sale. The board approved $112 million worth of bond sales as needed. And so we are now looking at having the first bond sale here in January. What it would do is, so kind of backing up, at that time, we anticipated that there would be 3 bond sales. Just if you remember, they were working their way through and they thought doing one for roughly $10 million would be a bank qualified bond sale, and that would provide us some benefits. It would also extend out before we have a larger one, hoping the interest rates would continue to drop down. Obviously, whenever interest rates are involved, you don't know exactly what the future is going to bring. So as they came back a couple months later, we got with the Building and Finance Committee last month, started running projections. They no longer believed that that bank qualified bond was worthwhile. They were not seeing any additional interest savings to do it. And so they kind of taken that off the table and thought, let's just do 2 big sales, the first one, and then about halfway through the project, the second one. And so as they're looking through there, they continue to believe that trying to delay the sale as long as possible might be advantageous for us. This was before the federal government reduced the interest rates by 1/4 point. They're still predicting maybe 2 more cuts, maybe by the end of the year. And so we don't know, that may or may not happen. We don't know what the effect will be on the bond market either, but felt like that could be advantageous for us. And so what we decided to do is try to delay that sale as long as possible, but then have one larger sale. So as of now, through the Building Finance Committee, met there, talked about the amounts, the timings, the sales, all those things. Want to make sure that we got that information to the full board. And so this month, I'll do a sit down with Standard & Poor, and then after that, they'll come out with a credit rating for us. Hopefully we'll be in the same area that we've been before. Turn around and maybe have the first bond sale in January, sometime in mid-January, for about $55 million. That structure will allow us to make sure that we hopefully can capture any market conditions, especially if there's any federal rate cuts that come in the next couple months as well. With it, there are a few negatives as well. One of them being that the short-term cash flow for us, we currently have $11.6 million in our special building fund prior to tonight, okay? As Steve alluded to, we got $1.7 million, I think, come out this month. Those numbers are starting to ramp up fairly significantly, and so we've been looking at our drawdown schedule. We think we can make it, because if it was sold in January, the money would show up in our accounts on February 1st. If we can't make it, we might have to do an inter-fund loan, so like take money from the general fund, load it into the special building fund for a month, and then loan it back. Looks a little weird on paper, but all it's doing is we're paying ourselves back almost immediately. That's perfectly fine, legal, no issues. You just have to do it within 2 years, actually, within the year. So I'm hoping we don't have to do that, but it is a possibility. I want to throw that out there from the beginning. So we'll drain down the special building fund as low as we can into that January, delaying the sale as long as we possibly can. Ultimately, look for that $55 million sale in January. Proceeds hit February 1. That basically is going to buy us a year to 16 months. We'll restart this exact same process about the same time next year, figure out what that looks like. Some things have changed as far as what it looks like, especially at the all-in true interest cost. The current model, and this is now a month ago, and so it's probably changed since then, but they had it at 4.63%. That is about 0.48 or about a half a point higher than when we ran it a year prior. Obviously, open bond prices went down, but they've continued to go up, and that's the environment that we're in. But the current bond model does meet all of the things that we continue to say during the bond campaign. It's a 21-year repayment plan. It aligns, it'll pay principal in the same 3 to 5 years that we talked about during the campaign. It keeps the levy or the tax rate exactly at 35.8 cents as well. And so we're still meeting all of those things, but the bond rates have continued to slowly rise over the last year. But again, this was all before the Fed cut a couple weeks ago as well. We met before that took place. So we might see 1 or 2 or maybe 3 of those depending on how it plays out. Questions on that? Okay, so here, none of those once we know the final details, we'll come back and let you know how it played out in real life in January. One thing I didn't mention is credit rating will be done here in November, and then they're actually going to write the, I don't know what the official term is, but write it out so we could sell those anytime after that. And so for some reason, we got to November, and DA Davis was like, now's the time, you absolutely need to sell those bonds right now. We could do that. We'll still plan for the middle of January unless something else would change in the meantime. So one more thing I probably should note on that. Part of the reason we want to get to January is historically they've seen what they call the January thaw. Typically there's more money in the market, the bond markets in January, and so your interest rates will go down somewhere between 5 to 10 basis points. Obviously, 5 to 10 basis points over 20 years on 55 million can really add up. And so we're doing our best to try to maximize as much as we possibly can. All right, second thing on there, again, construction related is the guaranteed maximum price. I stated, I think, at the last board meeting that we thought we'd have a GMP or guaranteed maximum price from Housman at this meeting for you guys to vote on. We're still working through that. Still wanting to make sure that the designs got released on October 9th. They're still looking to get pre-bid estimates from everybody before they give the GMP instead of rushing it to get it here. So let's slow down. Let's make sure we do our work once and feel really confident what that would be. Obviously, if you're gonna ask them to rush a GMP, it's probably gonna be higher than maybe it needs to be as well. So instead of doing that, we're gonna take it slow and steady. It may end up meaning that we have to have a special meeting between now and November, or we'll do it at the November meeting. I'll let you know, but until they have their work done, you know, I don't want to rush it anymore than possibly have some risky compares. Next thing on there is remote learning days. So this is one that, if you remember last year, we had 7 weather-related cancellations. It was a heck of a year, and I hope one that we don't repeat this year. But what it did do is bring on some conversations both in this room with our staff and in our community as well about what could that look like if it came to doing some remote snow days or remote learning days. We, prior to it, always had the idea of, you know what, we don't need to worry about that, we'll add days back in. We just don't want to go to school after Memorial Day either. Well, that meant some real sacrifices last year once you start getting to, 5, 6, and 7 snow days or weather-related days. And so we did look into it, we started preparing, and we feel like we are prepared to implement remote learning days for this year. Something that changed as well is in the previous years, NDE would not accept remote learning days as instructional hours. So if you had a remote learning day, it didn't count for instructional hours, which is what we ran into last year when we started adding days back in and taking off days and making them school days. We were trying to get to meet our minimum instructional hours. They now count. Remote days now count for that. And so that was a big change as well, made it a little more advantageous for us to do that. So we're proposing that the 3rd and the 4th weather cancellation this year become remote days. With that, what we would do is we'd make sure that we communicate with our families and our students and provide really clear guidance, because it's different between levels. How we're going to do this for kindergartners will not be the same as it would be for seniors. And so we have had staff working through this, our administrators working through it, making sure that when it does get rolled out here, that we feel really confident that it'll be a worthwhile day for our kids. We'll be able to keep instruction moving forward. We'll meet our instructional hours and do all of those things that we want to do. And so we are finalizing those details as we speak. We'll be communicating out to staff, or excuse me, to parents here in the next couple of weeks. Then we'll make sure that really detailed guidance shows up in November at some point before the first snow before they start to fly. So excited about that. I do think that this is hearing from our community, hearing from our staff, preserving that instructional time, and hopefully be the best of all the worlds. And, we do it here in 25, 26, we get to the end of the year, if we love it, awesome. If it didn't work, we're not excited about it, then we can adjust obviously next year. So, questions on that? All right, I'm gonna keep on trucking through here, state aid. It's so interesting because we've talked about our budget for the last 3 months. You guys approved it on September 23rd. And some of the most important parts of the budget for 26, 27 are due by the 15th of October. And so there's just no rest. As soon as we get that one done, we're on to this one right away. And so 3 big factors that roll into that. I just want to, because these are the allow us to make our initial assessments for the upcoming year. First one's enrollment. And we anticipate within our enrollment for next year that we grow 135 students. This year, we actually grew 142. And so with that basic funding, so we get X amount of dollars per student for our basic funding. We were 7 more students than we anticipated, so that increases our budget by $72,000. That's good. The second one is our student growth correction. So by the 15th, I have to submit to the state, this is for fast growing districts or growing districts, where we can say, we believe the next year we're going to grow X number of students. The state will then advance us the basic funding for those students. And then 2 years later, they look back and say, how many did you actually grow? So if we said you're going to grow 100, and we grew 80, they take the money away. They take $200,000 away. If we said we're going to grow 100 and we grow 120, they would give us an extra $200,000 2 years later. And so this is a really important number to submit each year. Based on what we did 2 years ago and then where we ended up, we will see a correction that would be an addition of $165,000. So that's good. We're up 72, we're up 165, that's still pretty good right now. And we get to apportionment. Because of how the state aid model works, if you remember last year, we anticipated $800,000 in apportionment. The state changed the calculation, don't ask me how exactly that works, but we ended up receiving $1.6 million last year. So we got $800,000. life was good. It helped shore us up during a year where we knew we were going to be negative. And so we weren't negative quite as much. But the way the state aid model works, any revenue we bring in, property taxes, money from the state, apportionment, the following year then becomes a resource and gets subtracted out if you're an equalized district. So our $800,000 increase last year is an equal $800,000 increase this year. And so that kind of wipes out all the good news that I told you before and some. So those three things have all come in the last, or they'll be submitted in the last couple weeks. As we start to look ahead, we are anticipating a state aid drop this year of $1.2 to $1.5 million. So again, property taxes went up 9.3% this year. The state aid is going to drop $1.2 to $1.5 million. Every dollar that comes in is a dollar that goes out the following year. And so that's where we're at this moment. Obviously, this is based on a ton of assumptions about what our valuation is, what basic funding is, all these different things. But what we know as of today, those three big things came in the last couple weeks. Questions there? All right. Last thing is enrollment. As I said, October 1 is the official date for enrollment. And so these are official numbers essentially from MDE. Our K through 12 enrollment is 4,413 students. And so we've got just over 4,400 students K through 12. We are just under 4,500 students if you include our preschool as well. That makes Bennington the 12th largest district in the state of Nebraska. We are now larger than Columbus. We are larger than Norfolk. We're getting close to where we'll be larger than Fremont probably in 4 to 5 years, assuming our growth continues at the pace that we have outlined. So you can see those numbers up there. Interestingly, our elementary only grew 4 kids this year. That's something that we have not seen in the past. This is a phenomenon that most districts are seeing across. Birth rates are down. They're down in Douglas County, they're down in Nebraska, they're down nationally. And so the kindergarten class is coming over. If you remember, we had kind of stagnated between 307 and 345 over the last 7 years. Those have started to work their way through. And you think year 7, yeah, the original one is now in the middle school. So we haven't seen those kindergarten numbers changing too much. And so our elementary is stagnated from 1 year to the next. Our building capacity there, all of them are 86%, but that number is not quite as nuanced as it needs to be. There are some buildings we have that are, because of where the growth is taking place down in the southern part of the district, we've got elementary buildings that are getting close to capacity down there. The growth, as it goes north, hopefully it'll start to even itself out. Middle schools, we are at 74% capacity, same concept. Bennington South Middle School is growing and getting fairly close to capacity as well. They grew 74 students this year. And then at the high school, was anticipated as well. We grew 64 students with right at capacity in that building as well. I think we're within 5 or 7 kids of what we said we were going to have. So it's right on what we anticipated. Any questions on enrollment or capacity?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Take a deep breath.
Oh,
All
keep going.
right, on to the committee reports. You guys met tonight.
We did.
Is there discussion on that later?
No.
Anything, nothing to discuss on that tonight?
I think the minutes that are in here are from last,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
last
okay,
month.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it looks like, we just covered the. What else did we cover?
It was a
That was a
fine,
whole
we went over the
lot.
budget, yeah, we went over budget numbers and things like that. Yeah, and then
Remote learning was
Okay.
what we went over. And then also, looking at grading, and we don't have anything to report on that right now, we're just looking at that.
Okay.
On the grading
Yeah.
scale.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, well, move on to no coordinator report tonight. Spotlight.
Yeah. We got,
Teacher of the year.
yeah, we got our Nebraska Teacher of the Year, Lindsay Wilson here, just to update you guys on all of her adventures. Obviously, it is a huge, huge honor to be the Nebraska Teacher of the Year. And it's a huge honor for our district to have the Nebraska Teacher of the Year. With that has come a lot of work and travels, and we thought it would be worthwhile for you guys to hear about what the last year has been like for Mrs. Wilson.
So congratulations.
It's been fantastic. So first off, thank you for having me here tonight. But yeah, I often explain to people that this has been like a lifetime of experiences in 12 months. So I'm gonna do my very best to condense it to like 5 minutes, but there's a lot to pack in. So, first things first, when people hear the word rebel, they often think of defiance, or someone being loud or disruptive or breaking rules. But if the real rebellion in education isn't about breaking rules, it's about breaking those barriers, the ones that hold students and teachers back from achieving that greatness. This has been my message all year long, is to teach like a rebel. Rebellion in education comes from courage, the courage to try new things, to challenge what's always been done, and to give students freedom to lead their own learning. So as he said, I am Lindsay Wilson. I am the 2025 Nebraska Teacher of the Year, but at my core, I'm a middle school teacher. I teach 7th grade science, math, and social studies at Bennington Middle School. And while I'm fairly new to Bennington Public Schools, I've always kind of looked for ways to empower students to take ownership of their own learning. So even before this year, I've worked to push those boundaries with students, like starting our district's first science researchers team that is now extending from the middle school into the high school, and making STEM opportunities more accessible to all students. But this year, as Teacher of the Year, the platform has allowed me to amplify those opportunities and share them more widely, while keeping students at the center and taking student-led innovation to a whole new level. This year for me has been about putting students in the spotlight. It started off in January with one of our student researchers co-presenting with me to new teachers and sharing insights on grit and growth mindset drawn from her own research. Our 7th graders at Bennington Middle School conducted a Moon Jelly Symposium, which allowed students to lead their own research presentations, taking responsibility for designing questions, analyzing results, and sharing their findings to over 200 people. And in that spirit of innovation, it led to the Mesosaurus Museum, a hands-on student-created science exhibit that will actually be taking place this week. One of my favorite and most passionate initiatives has been our Curious Creators Expo. This is an initiative that I have with several teachers around the district, in our building, and at some of the elementary schools. This is an opportunity for elementary students to showcase their science and art projects in an interactive community event. One of my favorite stories to tell is of a 2nd grader who was at our event, and she did a science project on makey-makeys, which is like open and closed circuits. And there were all these kids that were doing demonstrations from the middle school, whether it be art or science, and I walked up to her and I said, hey, like, why don't you go do some of the activities or and look at the demonstrations? And she said, I can't. She was very serious. I said, well, why not? And she goes, because everybody wants to hear about my science project. And so that just proves to me that there is a need and a space where students can share that voice. This year, we also started our Explore Lab, which is an after-school program where students can be curious, creative, and discover things that actually interest them. We've added and built a hydroponic system with the help of the Nebraska Teacher of the Year grant, and are in the process of building an aquaponics system that will benefit multiple classrooms and disciplines. My students have presented alongside me at the Nebraska State Board of Education and in district events, giving their voices a real stage. And most recently, I traveled to Washington, D.C. with my cohorts, and I brought their questions all the way to Capitol Hill, ensuring that my students' curiosity and insight reached a national audience. I have shared their student stories, our district successes, in nearly 75 presentations statewide, nationally, statewide here at Nebraska colleges and universities, state and national conferences, and even in China for a 12-day educator exchange. Everything I've learned this year, every new idea, every partnership, every innovation, I've brought back to my students. They've experienced it alongside me. We've adapted our projects. We've helped expand this culture of curiosity and student-led learning throughout our entire district. Their ideas and our work have inspired some of the best teachers across the nation to implement what we're doing in our classroom in room 710 and in our district in their own classrooms and schools. There is so much power in trusting our students and supporting our teachers. And it creates this district where curiosity and innovation thrive. Education should be this place where students wonder, create, and explore. A place where teachers can take risks, try new things, and disrupt the status quo for the better. When we ask what if, it's my favorite question. We embrace that innovation and the possibility of diverse teaching and learning experiences for both our teachers and our students. It opens up a world where we can explore new possibilities and make meaningful change, leading to real and lasting change. So I want to thank our districts, our community, and all the educators and students behind me. I am not the only teacher of the year. This district is full of them. Every day, teachers inspire and innovate and lift students up. But when we protect and support our teachers, our students benefit. Their curiosity grows, their confidence soars, and their potential becomes limitless. Behind every teacher of the year is a network of mentors, colleagues, families, and students. And for me, that is my own family, my teaching partners, my administration, my team, and my incredible middle schoolers. Who remind me daily that growth happens when we are challenged, supported, and encouraged to be bold. Even when my year of service ends, my work will not. I will always be the 2025 Nebraska Teacher of the Year who proudly says I am a 7th grade science, math, and social studies teacher at Bennington Middle School, surrounded by the best of the best. So I ask that we continue to honor our teachers, continue to trust our students, because when we teach like rebels, students don't just learn, they lead. And together we can create a district where anything is possible. So I want to thank you for your support of our teachers, our staff, and the future of education in Bennington. And I always end my meeting with the same quote: to stay curious, inspire, and be inspired by those words. Do you have any questions? I tried to cram it into 5 minutes.
Fantastic job. Yes, that was great. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Super award.
One of my favorite stories that you told us when you were presenting in China, and there was an interpreter, right? Or so you would say something and then they would have to translate it. Well, then it would take like 10 seconds and you find out if the joke landed or not.
I wasn't sure. I was like, that's it. Yeah.
That's so good. Congratulations again.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for showing up. Okay, I suppose we should get back to serious stuff now. Okay, on to new business. Discuss, consider, and take action on the Bennington Public School option enrollment resolution for the 26-27 school year.
All right, so each year the district must establish our option enrollment capacity limits, determine if we would be able to accept option students or not. For historical reference, Bennington Public Schools has been closed to option students since I think the 04-05 school year. When I looked this up, I got that as far back as I could go. And then previously, we'd always talked about this in the spring. They changed the law, so last year was the first time we did it this time period of the year, which is a little bit awkward, but that's the way the law is written. And so, for a reminder how we go through this, we create a methodology document which essentially shows what is our building capacity, and then how many teachers do we have within that building, and then so how many students could we support? Because even if you took on option students, we'd have to add staff members as well. Can you do that or not? And so we use historical growth models to do that, along with the capacities within the building. We're recommending that there are no classes be open again yet next year as we just continue to grow. We have budget limitations that we're all well too aware of. Our buildings, while they might appear, when I talked earlier about being at 86%, 76, and 100% capacity, we would have to hire additional staff. I mean, you think about we're going to grow another 100 to 150 students. We have to hire staff. If you're going to add options, you're going to have to hire even more staff for where we wouldn't have the money to do that. So proposed for a year is an option resolution that would state that we'd be closed in all areas again for the 22nd consecutive year. A little bit of information just for FYI's sake. October 1 is when we find out what our options look like. And so we do have to grandfather in students by state law. So if a student went to Bennington Public Schools for 2 consecutive years, moves out of the district, we automatically have to accept their option if they want to stay. That's state law. Vice versa, if a kid, lives in Millard and then moves to Bennington, they would have to accept them as well. And so that's really generally where almost all of our options are in and out, is because kids are grandfathered in or out of where they're going, which it makes sense, that if once you get going in school district, if you're happy, you have friends, you typically will stay there. So we do have 211 students that are optioned out, and then we have 55 that are approved to come in, again, all because they meet those criteria.
How many in? 100?
No, 55. Yep, 55 coming in to 11 out.
And all 55 of the grandfather.
Yep, every one of them is a grandfathered student. Yep, that's the only option students that we've had in 22 years.
Is there an option, just from curiosity, if they lived here, went to school for 2 years, moved out, chose to go to a different school for that year, could they come back the year after that?
No, consecutive. Yep.
Great question.
I didn't say that wrong, did I, Jim? No. Fact checking. All right, fact checking, still good. I used to know every option rule ever from previous districts. I got here, kind of got, it's not quite as important.
Any other questions? I move to approve the Bennington Public Schools option enrollment resolution for 2026-27 as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Roll call, please, Joe.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes. Motion passes. Okay, discuss, consider, and take all necessary action with regard to obtaining a standby letter of credit for approval of the military 180th crossing subdivision with the city of Omaha, Nebraska.
If you all thought my report was boring, hang on. We got about 3-4 things in a row that we absolutely have to do in order to receive a building permit from the city of Omaha. So the next 4 action items, they all are items of that nature. So this is the first one, which is the letter of credit. The city of Omaha requires that we have a letter of credit for infrastructure that we're going to build. And so DLR has worked with the city of Omaha, worked with Douglas County, made sure that we met all the mandates and the rules associated with the building of with military and 180th and our internal roads that will become theirs as well. And so, but they will not actually allow us to get a building permit unless we have a letter of credit for the funds that would have to pay for those. Obviously, we're doing it through bond sales, and it's not going to become an issue for us, but they mandate a letter of credit. So this is I3 Bank essentially saying if we defaulted on that, then they would cover it for us. So this is a kind of a weird deal, but it's what we have to do in order to get a building permit.
Sure. Any other questions? I move that the Board of Education of Bennington Public Schools should and does hereby authorize and approve obtaining a standby letter of credit from I3 Bank in the amount of approximately $2,376,235 or such other required amount for the benefit of the city of Omaha, Nebraska, for purposes of satisfying the Omaha Public Works Department roadway construction, plating, and subdivision agreement requirements for the military 180 crossing subdivision school development project located at North 180th Street and Military Road, and that the board hereby approves and adopts this attached resolution.
I wrote that myself.
Second, fantastic. Somebody's getting the next one. All right, we have a second. Roll call, Jody, please.
Steve, who seconded that?
Joe.
Joe, okay. All right. Jeremy,
Yes.
Kara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes. Okay. Discuss, consider, and take all necessary action with regard to possible approval of a roadway construction and maintenance agreement with Douglas County, Nebraska for construction and maintenance of certain roadway improvements in the military 180 crossing subdivision located near 180th Street and Military Road.
All right, so this is an agreement, another resolution for a maintenance agreement with Douglas County that authorizes us to, essentially, it allows them, it'll say that once we have the internal roads completed, they then can do the maintenance on those internal roads. So if you remember the building, we got military and 180th, and then it would connect going around, those then become county roads that they would come out and maintain for us as well. So this is the agreement saying that we would do that. Kind of a reminder, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but we've got a lot of infrastructure in place with the second high school that includes the roundabout on Military as you would enter into the property. We'd have 3 lanes on Military. We'd redo the 180th Military intersection to accommodate the traffic. And then we will pave we'd have the turning lane going in there on 180th, and then we'd pave the gravel on 180th as well. So pretty much everywhere around that section is being touched. This ensures that we have a maintenance agreement in place with the county for all roadway construction and maintenance moving forward. And that we've met all of their requirements.
Okay, there's a motion on the table.
I move that the Board of Education of this school district should and does hereby authorize and approve the roadway construction and maintenance agreement by and between the County of Douglas, Nebraska and this school district, and that the board hereby approves and adopts the attached resolution.
Thank you, Jeremy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Call, please.
Carol?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay. Discuss, consider, and take all necessary action with regard to possible approval of a permanent noise attenuation easement with the city of Omaha, Nebraska, relating to certain improvements in and for the high school development project near North 180th Street and Military Road.
You want that superintendent report back, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure do.
So the noise attenuation agreement is between Benton Public Schools and the city of Douglas County, essentially saying that you'll have noise mitigation from the road to what you are constructing. And so we have a 100-foot buffer from the middle of the road to any actual facilities that we're having or where people would be gathering. And so the drawings already have that in place. You can't actually get a building permit though until you sign the attenuation agreement saying that we are not going to construct the building or have a place where people gather within 100 feet of the road.
Okay.
I move that the Board of Education of the school district should and does hereby authorize and approve the permanent noise attenuation easement by and between the city of Omaha, Nebraska and the school district relating to certain improvements in and for the high school development project located near 180th Street and Military Road, and that the board hereby approves and adopts the attached resolution.
Thank you, Kara. Is there a second? Roll call, please.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Another one here.
Yeah, keep on going.
Yeah, perfect. Discuss, consider, and take all necessary action with regard to possible approval of an interlocal cooperation agreement with Douglas County and SID 625 for construction and cost sharing of certain roadway improvements to North 180th Street and Military Road.
All right, so as we talked about, we've got several parts of those roads that we have to update that are part of the project. This would be an agreement between ourselves, Douglas County, and SID 625, which would be Stratford West, on who's going to pay for what parts of those roads. So they did a really good job of sectioning it off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the, you got 180th and you got Military. I'm going to start at Military and work my way, or start at 180th and work my way through Military. So from north to south. The gravel part that is currently gravel, we are 100% responsible for the paving of that. We will pay 100% cost. Eventually, if it develops on either side, we would then get reimbursed half of what we're paying for by those developments. But as of today, we pay for 100% of that section. As we get down to 180th and Military, the intersection right there, Douglas County is going to pay for 100% of that intersection, which was not something we were exactly anticipating. So that's good. Now we're on Military, and we start to come back to the east. There's a section right there from the intersection to where the roundabout is. That would be 100% of our cost to do that. So that'd be 3 lanes right there as you get to the intersection. When you get to the roundabout, it would be 25% paid by us, and it would be 75% by Douglas County. And then as you go east of that, It'll be 100% paid by Douglas County for the next section. And then the next section over will be Douglas County and Stratford West, or SID 625, paying for that. We pay for 0% of that. So there's areas we're paying 100%, areas we're paying 0. All in, these are estimated, so I want to make sure I say that too. These are just estimates of what they feel like they're going to cost. When we originally began this, we back up. So 180th Street, the paving on there, that estimate is $2,442,989. Our 25% of the roundabout is $241,196. Excuse me, the section west of the roundabout is that. The roundabout's $171,936. So all in, just over $2.8 million for our portions of those roads. We are also eligible for reimbursement in different areas if somebody develops on the other side of those. Our total infrastructure budget that we plan on pre-bond for all of this was just over $7.5 million. This portion of that was just over $4.5 million, but we're now estimating that to be over $2.8 million. And so our savings as of this moment in that area are almost $1.7 million. It hasn't gone to hard bid. These are all still estimates, but we didn't know what percentage every area was going to take at the time. So obviously you assume 50-50 or whatever. And so this is an area that we are potentially going to have savings of almost $1.7 million, assuming everything happens like it's played out at this point. And so in addition to that, we'd be eligible for about $1.2 million of reimbursement if those areas ever developed into the future. So good news on that front. It would be paid out of special building fund, which we currently have $11.6 million in. And then obviously all bond sales as well will go back in the special building fund, which we talked about earlier, for that up to $55 million. So that's where it would be paid from in the short term.
I do have a question. So on that rock road area, is it just going to be 2 lanes, or are we going to go with a turning lane?
2 lanes and then a turning lane that where the high school is going to be, there will be a road north of that would intersect with the high school, and then we still own the land up to the north. I think at one point it was, or we talked about it being a future elementary, and so there will be a road rolling through there. We'll have to pay for a turning lane into that road, and then it'll be 2 lanes on all the gravel part. Yep.
And that happens like last you talked.
Yes, it happens last. So internal roadways would be this summer, or starting right away here through this summer. Then they'll work on military in the summer of 27, and then the final summer of 28 will be 180.
From like a reimbursement side of things, that's something that doesn't happen overnight, obviously, with those going up, but what's the process that triggers to make sure that you do get reimbursement down the road? Like, is that like someone puts a red Post-it note on the road or somewhere?
And so in the county, they have to approve all plans. Obviously, this is the planning board in the city and the county as well. And so when they approve the plan, it triggers for the reimbursement, because they get reimbursed as well for their portions that they're paying 100% of. And so they are on top of it. We actually just had this happen on the road. I can't remember, is it Woodney, behind Bennington South Middle School. So as SID 625 developed, they then reimbursed us for their half of the road that was put in the 2020 bond. So, yeah, they were on top of it.
Don't worry, we'll be too, if they are. For sure. Okay, I move that the Board of Education of this school district should and does hereby authorize and approve the interlocal cooperation agreement by and between the County of Douglas, Nebraska, Sanitary and Improvement District number 625 of Douglas County, Nebraska, and this school district, and that the board hereby approves and adopts the attached resolution. Second. Joe? Okay, Joe? Thank you, and roll call.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes. Okay,
And I just wanted a quick shout out the DLR, and then also our school attorney, Derek Aldridge. Obviously, that was a lot, and there's a lot of legalities associated with it. So they've been working quite a bit in the last few weeks to get us to this point where those are all ready. So I really appreciate all their efforts.
that's fantastic. Okay, Last thing on our list here is executive session to discuss certified staff negotiations. With our first negotiation season meeting take place for next month, you want to provide information to us a little bit and kind of get us started on everything. Anything else you want
What we want to go over, because we do not expect.
to? Yes, no, correct. I want to make sure he was done first.
Yeah, there won't be an action. I want to make sure, maybe we'll go over, since there's not going to be action, we did the next meetings.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so the date and time of the next regular meeting is November 10th at 6 PM down here. Building and finance to be determined. Curriculum, Americanism meeting, October 13th at 5. November 6th at 4:30. November 10th at 5. November 10th at 5:30. Busy. Yeah. NASB area membership meeting dates, November 19th to 21st. State Education Conference, let Jody know as soon as possible if you want to get registered. And we now have a motion. I move that we enter closed session for the purpose of holding a strategy session regarding collective bargaining.
Second.
Joe? Roll call.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
7:00.
Thank you very much, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kids, you need to take your sign. Hold up, sign there.
Who wants it?